Okay.
And then he said, now we can all get some sleep.
Only Australians are going to get that. Only Australians are going to get that joke.
Jack Thompson, what a legend, eh?
What a legend, yes.
Yes.
Jack Thompson is rather infamous, actually, in the US, because. Okay. Well, that's
avatar of me. It's completely 100% accurate.
So greetings, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. Welcome to my 1,000 subscribe. I was going to say 1,000K, and then I caught myself, but I thought I'd say it anyway. But thank you for being here for my 1,000 sub stream. I really appreciate it. So let's introduce the panel, and let's start with the man in charge, who is Cheese Mondo. Cheese Mondo, how are you doing?
He left.
He's running the stream, but he's left.
Yeah, okay. That didn't go quite as well as I was hoping, and already there's a downtick in the watching. But let's move on. Micah Raptor, how are you? Many of the people in the stream may not, many of the people watching may not know who you are. So please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Micah Raptor. I'm mostly hang out in the chat on when other people are doing streams, and I have made some videos, but not a lot. I'm not. I don't do it so very frequently. So yeah, I'm not really a content creator per se. Yeah, I'm just a nerd hanging out.
Well, you were kind enough to appear on the charity stream that Irish Demon set up for the Trevor Project. And you and I thought you were a very important person to hear from for that. And you've always been very supportive of my channel, so thank you very much. Let's go with Fight the Flat Earth, who was here first, so he gets introduced first. How are you?
The naked ladies, and by ladies I meant donkeys, but is this not the case? The pretenses to bring me here?
Well, the donkeys will be here later on. Let's just say I'm still waiting on Team Skeptic. I'm going and
well deserved.
Oh, thank you very much. And I have to say that I wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of a lot of wonderful people within the community, your good self included, and of course the people in the live chat. And let's go on to the fourth of the panel members who is with me this evening. Hugh Jas, how are you?
Oh, greetings and salutations, Tony. Congratulations on 1,000 subs. I'm having a look at the live stream. I'm seeing this skinny person wearing a FDFE shirt. Who's that supposed to be?
That's exactly what I look like. Like, that's not even an avatar. That's just a picture of me.
But where's the penis? Where's the penis on your head?
Well, yeah, I was having bad hair day that day. That's what.
Well, okay. Right. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I remember being the 5th subscriber to your channel, Tony. And,
right.
It's just grown and grown. You've had some massive battles on Fights and Team Skeptics channels, and you've been a wonderful addition to the community. And it's been great to have you around. So your congratulations are well deserved.
Thank you very much. Of course, we established our channels on the same day, I think, as a result of appearing on Mr. Sensible's live stream, along with Crafty Keeler. Who I have to say I sorely miss. The recent events have not reflected well, I think, on some people in the community, but she's sorely missed, and I hope she's doing very well indeed. Because she's a fantastic creator too, and we can ill afford that sort of loss. But Now that we're here, well, now that I've introduced the panel, I do want to say a huge thank you, of course, to everybody who's in the chat. I see Jessica G was there briefly, but she's gone off to support Roxy Lowry, which I can well understand. Roxy's got a fantastic accent. Basic Trigonometry, Sapika Pup, Tina Jones, Dave Space N. Oh, I only just got that. It's space comma. I see. Mr. Andrat, Clive Wells, who I guess is in charge of the Nerd Police now. Kubertech 77, Theo Fun Guy. I'm not going to go through all of the list because we might be here for a while.
Just see the plot hole. I thought he was
yes,
working.
the plot. He let's not dox the plot hole. He of course has an invitation to be here, but he's a bit too busy to make it onto the stream himself. So hopefully, Phil Bell has replied and has said that he will be along shortly, but he's got a tutorial he's organising. So we've also got Jim's Mind, Dick Dawson. Dick Dawson, of course, was going to be here representing the EIE network, but he's not feeling so well today, so he's also supporting from the chat. I just want to echo something that all creators say. Fight the Flat Earth emphasizes it every time, and Hugh is very keen on this. But these channels are all about providing entertainment and content for subscribers and viewers, and it means an immense amount that anybody is interested in anything I have to say. So thank you all very, very much.
We enjoy having you in the community, Tony. I know that. Ever since you turned up, it's made some of the streams a lot more interesting. I mean, I thought I lost my temper easy. But listening to you talk to Spurs, I imagine what the people, in some kind of volcanic eruption, understand what that's like.
The thing is, whenever Tony loses his cool, it's not unjustified. It's always
it's never unjustified when any of us lose our cool.
The other person has just gone way past the pale, and then Tony lets him have it. So, rightly so.
The thing is, Tony's got a PhD. He's a smart guy, so it's understandable that stupidity annoys him.
It does, but it's when it gets to the point where it's willful. Like at this point, you are just actively trying not to understand this, and it's a waste of everybody's time.
The one that got me the most recently was with Spurs, and you were in the stream, Tony, and I was talking about the nuclear reactor, with the gas pressure next to the vacuum, and he wouldn't believe that it was a vacuum. He's like, "Have you stuck your hand in there?" Like that's the levels of like duck, dive, dodge that the Spurs will go to.
Since when was your hand
that's a vacuum by putting your hand in it?
Since when was your hand a vacuum detection voice?
I know, right?
I can't speak. I need
words.
It's too early in the morning.
Okay, on the subject.
Early in the morning. Yeah, you're in the future, aren't you? I'm meant to be asking you for a while. When next time there's a lottery, can I ask you the numbers in advance? Will that work?
I can tell you the numbers, but they won't work for you. You've got to be in the same time zone.
Sadly, you guys in the past, you get the lottery numbers wrong. We keep on telling you what they are, but even the organisers of your lotteries can't get them right.
Quit living in the past, man.
So I just want to say hello to Professor Phil Bell. How are you?
Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Tony, and good evening to our Pommy friends.
The ones that live in the civilized world.
So what am I then, chop liver?
Well, you do have the privilege of standing upright, and that's
That's right.
You guys, you're upside down, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So for us, it's quite a lot more difficult. So our blood goes to our brains, You know.
So, like, when you guys wake up in the morning, is there like a period of time where you have to, like, adjust to the upside downness? Does it take a while before like it all settles to normality for you? Before you have your legally mandated Vegemite on toast for breakfast?
Oh, you bet. Yeah, most certainly, especially if you've been on a bender the night before.
It can be very difficult. You
Yeah,
can
that's right.
ease the problem for hanging upside down like a bat. And it's good for the posture. So, or so I'm told.
I don't know why you're talking about upside down, because we're not upside down. We're just further out on the disc.
No, remember, we're the Globers today. We're not on one of the Flat Earth channels.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, right, yeah.
All right. Yes. Phil, I'm not sure that you've met Microraptor.
Sort of
Not on screen before, no.
seen the name around, but
Yeah.
nice to catch up.
Yeah. Microraptor, you were in a debate just the other day, right? Joined in. How'd that go?
Pretty well, considering it was the first time and that it was very spontaneous and like I hadn't prepared for it or anything. So, yeah, considering that, I think it went pretty well. But it was against Spurs and Lemonbird and some other people.
God,
so it was sort of, yeah.
Did you have plenty of dressing for the word salad?
Yeah, I did. Always.
I've never encountered Lemonbird, so I keep on hearing the name.
I can arrange a debate between you and Lemonbird. I can make that happen. That would be
Yes,
quite interesting. Prepare for him to say the word aether about 1 million times.
Okay.
Tony would explode.
Yeah.
I reckon he
Such
will.
an idiot.
I reckon that'll be. I think Tony will just go off the handle on this.
Yeah. I lost my cool on the EIE network yesterday, actually.
No, you were. That was just perfect. That was like the round Earth version of Dell.
It was like we had Multi Tom Tom in the chat sniping, and we did one of his videos, and he's gone. I can disprove sunrises and sunsets, and he's shown the sun rising over the sea. He's gone, can you see the problem with this? It's the ocean. If we're rotating towards the sun, the ocean's got to be coming towards us. Just went off like it is. we can measure this like it's called Western intensification of boundary currents. It's just for God's sake, you've come up with this physical phenomena that is testable and observable, and rather than actually check whether or not it occurs, you just assume that it doesn't.
Well, I've got a name for your lecture on that particular one, so we'll just call this effective insulting.
Well, I grew up in a household with 5 children. I was the eldest, 3 brothers and 1 sister. There was a lot of verbal back and forth in our household. I came out of it well equipped.
Yeah.
You should have devoured your siblings like me to gain their power.
Well, if only I had thought of that.
Is that why I had a weight problem?
That was sharp, Hugh. That was sharp. Thank you, Zebulon. Thank you, Mistress Magda. I'm getting a lot of, and Factard, I'm getting a lot of congratulations from the chat. So yeah, again, I feel really, really fortunate because I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like being able to confront stupid and make it obvious just how stupid it is. It's actually kind of fun, but it's also worthwhile, I think, because I kind of think our current social situation owes a lot to people being able to get away with bullshit. and just here's one sphere where I can directly counteract the bullshit out of so many. So it gives me a chance to work out some frustrations. Go on.
Yeah.
Go on, Raptor.
No, just said yeah, but yeah, I want to probably say congratulations because you're one of my favorite YouTubers, and you are amazing. You know a lot of stuff that I don't know, and I learn a lot. And it's of course fun to watch you have debates with the flat earthers who think they know everything, and they think they know more than the experts, and then. Yeah, they don't.
They know more than every one of the greatest minds that has ever existed. I mean, they've never gone to a physics course in their life, but they know better than everyone with a physics degree.
Yeah, that's right.
Somehow.
You're a pilot? Well, you obviously don't understand how flight work. You're a geodesic surveyor? Yeah, you don't know how to measure curve, even though that's your fucking job.
Yes. Bloody Brummy, not Brummy, try thinking Bev.
Yeah.
Well, Brian's logic told me that nobody in the world understands geodetic surveying apart from him. I mean, that level of arrogance is astounding.
And this is precisely why we need to oppose them and provide reality to other people to look at, because they are so persuasive, because it's all they've got. They're very confident in what they're saying and that kind of thing. And if you're sort of young and haven't had a lot of experience of life yet, or you don't have a lot of education, it is persuasive. And unless we get out and say, no, that's not the way life is, the world is like this, and for these reasons, and has all this research and things behind the reality of it, those people who see the persuasive people will just simply be persuaded. And it needs to be stopped, because we can't have people in society not living in reality, because that's where society breaks down.
Yeah.
Precisely.
I just wanted to ask you a question, Phil. Yesterday, Multi-Tom asserted quite simply that he was demonstrably smarter than Einstein. Would you care to respond?
It's times like that, and you hear the flat earthers along, so they'll say Einstein was an idiot, or Newton was an idiot, and I look back and I think about let's say look at Newton and I think, now this guy wrote the calculus.
Yeah.
Do you even know what that bloody means?
It is astonishing that they can even have the temerity.
They have to say that though, because these smart guys demonstrated things that prove their fantasy pancake world wrong. So they have to be smarter than them. Otherwise, what they say is wrong. It's as simple as that. Oh, well, no, Einstein was an idiot because he thought general relativity was correct, and that disproves the flat Earth model. Oh, what an idiot thinking that, space-time's a real thing. Moron. No, just because you don't understand something, that's you problem, not an Einstein problem.
And of course, Einstein, is responsible for the photoelectric effect, and and now think about that. Does that even cross their mind? Do they even know what that is?
No, they don't.
I don't think they do. It's I know that Anthony Riley knows what it is. Sorry, go on.
It's always safe to assume that they don't know a particular concept with physics.
No, that's true. They just assume that they're stupid, and you're probably going to be safe.
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been asked a question from the chat, and I'm going to actually sidestep it and let it hit you guys square between the eyes. So you're welcome. So when you got your degrees, did you imagine that you'd be using that expertise to educate people that the Earth is not flat?
No. Mine were gained in the military, serving the country, doing things on ships that used spherical math to navigate. The thought of honestly, at that point, I probably didn't even realize flat earthers were a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar
What
for
about
me,
you?
I think.
Mhm.
Similar for me. Until about 6 months ago, I thought flat earthers were like a fringe nutter group, and you just sort of paid no attention to them. And then I saw they were all over YouTube, and I thought, what? And people like my daughter, who's 20, are the sort of people who fall for them. So I just wanted to make sure
Right.
that there was an alternative, well, the reality view out there as well, so that you could see both.
Yep. And Raptor?
I don't have a degree, so but,
Okay.
it's complicated. But I studied computer science, so I don't think it really applies that much to debunking flat Earth, but. Yeah, I've done a bit of physics too, like with our version of high school. I've done as high physics and math as you can do there, but then I've done a little bit of science in university, but not a lot.
Okay.
Well,
Phil.
yeah, go on.
No. You're just the one whose answer I'm most interested in, actually.
Okay. All right. So my wife popped her head into my office yesterday, and she said, and I was busy talking to somebody. She said, Phil, do you often just go out there to a field and talk to and argue with cows? Because that's kind of what it seems like you do.
Well, no, but that's not how I view it. And I do want Phil's, because I don't consider the cow to be the person who's actually listening to me. So basically, and to be honest, I can't imagine cows are interested in the type of idiocy that flat earthers are engaging in willfully.
Plus, cows are probably a good amount more intelligent, right?
Yeah, I would think so. But I no longer consider it worthwhile to try and educate the vast majority of flat earthers. There are some that can be educated, some who are willing to learn, but for the vast majority, it's not about educating them; it's about educating the audience, and that's how I look at it.
I tend to agree with that. I think there's obviously you'll get people who come to listen and they sitting on the fence, and what you want to try and avoid is get them to fall into the cult of this flat earth nonsense.
Yeah.
I can scarcely believe that we're even discussing this.
We're not making a channel out of it,
It's endlessly entertaining, though. I mean, every time I watch a flat earth video, I'm just blown away at the stupidity, and I just have to tell people, look at this moron. Look what this dumbass thinks.
I've never been on the fence. I've always had. I've always enjoyed science and stuff like that, and I've never been a flat earther or even been on the fence about the shape of the earth. But the reason why I came into this community was that if I ever met a flat earther, I wasn't sure exactly. Like there was so much I could learn about why we know that it is round, and so I came into this and then watched a lot of debates, and I have learned a lot about why we think the world, the earth is shaped the way it is, and like how we can measure the distance to the sun, for example, and how we know gravity exists and stuff like that. So I learned a lot, even if I was never on the fence.
Yeah, well, there are, and I have to admit that I've learned quite a bit in sort of I've had to there are some elements of earth science that I am, really familiar with, and some that I'm not so familiar with. And I'm certainly astronomical techniques never really been my strong point, because I don't like getting up early in the morning or staying up late at night. But now I YouTube and I do both, so I don't know what. At least I'm not standing outside, I guess, is the bottom line.
Well, not yet, anyway.
Not yet. It's a Mistress Magna, yes. Feel free to drop that link in the stream. Magda wants to drop a link to a medical charity, a charity stream that's going on, and that's quite fine. But I learn a lot from a lot of content creators. But one of the things that I'm constantly impressed by, and Phil and I have talked about this before, is just how many really skilled science communicators there are in this community. Just they don't necessarily have huge levels of formal recognition, but there are some extremely good science communicators, science educators operating within this community. What do you think?
You don't really
totally.
You don't really need the massive education to do it. Look at someone like Bill Nye the Science Guy. I've got more qualifications than Bill Nye the Science Guy. He's got 1 BSc in engineering, but he's an incredibly smart guy. You have to be an engineer, but he's great at talking and great at communicating. You don't have to be a Mensa level 12,000 genius to be able to explain why the Earth isn't flat and some of the basic science around it.
I think being a Mensa genius would be a disadvantage, actually, because communication is the skill that you need.
Are you saying I'm stupid?
Professor Dave. No, you've got communication.
I'm joking.
Professor Dave, to me, is the paragon of science communication. He just breaks it down and makes it so easy to understand. So,
I tell you who impresses me in this community, Team Skeptic.
Yeah.
So
He's
he's a layperson who's really
no one tell him that someone said a good thing about him. His ego's too big. Can't let him.
that's why I was surprised you said Craig. So,
well, I thought Team everything he knows. Wait, he's been on YouTube longer,
but he still knows nothing.
Well, I've ended up in a couple of conversations with him, where he started talking about the aspects of theoretical physics where my grounding is quite shaky, and so and you just think to yourself, this is a guy who has taught himself an impressive amount of detailed scientific knowledge, but is also able to, when he needs to, he can just lay it out logically and consistently.
And he's entertaining as well. So he's quite a talent.
Yeah, he's very funny to look at. You're right.
Yeah,
Yes.
look, it's not just that he can regurgitate what what's written in the text and all that. He clearly has a deep understanding of it. That's what's impressive.
Yeah, exactly. But that's necessary, right? You need to be able to understand that if you're going to try and communicate this to another, it's not enough to have a superficial understanding. It's not enough to be able to remember what's in a textbook. You need to actually understand how the various components fit together. So if somebody asks a question, you can actually disassemble the question and say, well, here's the fundamental question beneath what you're trying to ask. Here, because often they're asking. I was on Craig's the other day, and somebody said, well, why is everything in stable orbits? Isn't that just a huge coincidence? And you go, well, actually, that's an interesting question, because the answer is not everything was in a stable orbit, but the stuff that isn't in a stable orbit is gone. So we've got an inherent selection bias in the physical bodies that we can observe nowadays. So it's not actually a stupid, it's not actually that stupid a question. There is a good reason for it. But you need to be able to sort of, you need to be able to sort of understand how the components fit together in the way the team does in order to get to those, in order to explain how that works. I thought he did a really good job explaining stuff to Gleam the other day.
Gleam didn't. Gleam still claims he won that, even though he clearly showed he didn't even understand what the Maximali experiment was. I mean, it's incredible how many different things he wants to call the Aether.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's another trait of these sort of people, that they can be beaten to an absolute pulp and yet they still claim victory. It's just utterly amazing the self-denial.
Pigeons playing chess. Doesn't matter how good you are, they're just going to knock the pieces over, shit on the board and fly away.
Okay.
And declare victory, yeah.
I do want to hold up for a moment and just say, Cheese, are you prepared? Are you prepared to say anything at any point, or should we just move on? Okay.
Seems to have disappeared.
That's okay. We'll move on again then. He's a difficult man to thank. Let me just say that.
Sorry.
he's doing the production today, and I am immensely grateful that he stepped in, because otherwise I would have been.
He's probably screaming at his microphone. Why is this not working?
Sorry,
But,
I was double muted.
Hey.
Hey, Cheese.
And yet you're in charge.
Too busy listening to you guys talk to realize I was double muted. Very sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to say a shout out, thank you. For those people in the audience who don't know him, Cheese Mondo does a lot of work on the EIE network that I'm lucky enough to be affiliated with. Cheese, tell us about yourself for those of us who don't know.
Oh, goodness me. That's putting me on the spot. I've only been on YouTube since January last year. Trying to be a bit of a debunker. Didn't realize, when I first moved to America, I didn't realize that people actually thought the Earth was flat. So there was a jet lag 3 a.m. in the morning, kind of, what the hell is this all about? And then stumbled across people like Simon Dan, FTFE, Conspiracy Cats, all the big names. And yeah, so I started. I was dared into setting up a channel by a member of the family, and that's it really. Started out making IT videos. They didn't really do it for me, and then Validation Boy made a video about autism, and I thought, right,
that guy is.
He's getting it. So that was my first debunk, and I enjoyed that so much. I ended up trying out Flat Earth and other things.
It's, thanks to Validation Boy, I did the first song on my channel. The "Fuck You" song that we all did with.
The guy's a complete idiot.
Yeah, he called me a Nazi in a video. He did a whole video about me being a Nazi. I mean, I don't know if you know me, but I'd make a terrible National Socialist. I really would.
Well, he's kind of wandered into... he's very God-orientated these days, isn't he? I don't know if anyone's seen any of his recent stuff, but...
Yeah. He hasn't really talked about Flat Earth lately. It just seems to be God stuff.
Yeah. Well, I just I'm quite excited because Crafty Keeler was able to drop by for a second. I just felt the need to say hello and acknowledge her because again, a valuable contributor that I really miss. Well, there is a lot of religion, and not just formal religion in what flat earthers do, and this is going to sound obsessed, but this is one of the reasons why I miss Crafty's content is that she came at it from a sociological perspective and analyzed the conspiracy theory side of it and how people become susceptible to this. Big hello to JL Warren. Thank you very much. Why aren't you here? No, I sent you the link. you'd better have some really good excuse.
And his
He
pictures on the
doesn't
stream
like
too.
you. He told me. He said, "No, I don't like
Yeah.
Tony. I'm not going to that stream."
Well, that's fair enough then. Who does? That's the point. So
Yeah, we're here just to watch it crash and burn. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000 subs. What
and-
would you buy all those? Huh.
You substantially overestimate the resources I can throw at this. But it's an incredibly to me. I think that the thing that Keela brought to my attention is that if you want to disentangle an irrational mindset that's being got at emotionally, you need to work out how to emotionally engage with the individual. And I have to say, as has been mentioned a couple of times, I can try. I do try to say, okay, here it is. Here's the logic behind it, and and I try and do it in an engaging way that doesn't, I don't start with insults necessarily, unless I feel they deserve it.
Bart K definitely deserved it.
Yeah, Bart K. Yeah, I wasted an apology there. I feel.
I mean, I've never
should-
wanted to throat punch a voice before, but
Yeah, I should have just kept going full on, because not only he was lying about not being a climate denialist.
Absolutely.
For starters,
Hiding behind
and
I'm just presenting someone else's argument. No bollocks,
Yeah.
are you?
yeah, and then he turns out to have practically zero intellectual qualifications to be anything.
That's being kind.
Yeah.
He's a great example of what I was talking earlier about persuasion, though. He's got like 14,000 subs on his channel. It's just amazing that he can reel in that many number of people with the rubbish he was spouting. And that's what we're fighting against. We want to save those 14,000 people from living in a world where they're just thinking
Where Bart
what he's
K's
saying is
right.
the truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And persuasion is all about emotion. Getting people to emotionally feel about the things that you're trying to say. Facts don't matter when it comes to persuasion. I mean, just look at politics.
Yeah.
That's what's so difficult for us in this community, because we're based on facts. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and like someone said before, you kind of need both the persuasion and the fact, especially when you're talking to people who aren't scientists. Like we those of us who won't understand the really technical stuff, who needs a bit of the persuasion, a bit of the to be a good communicator as well as having the facts.
Oh wow! I'm told Creaky Blinder got up to 40,000.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop. Getting
Wow.
ready.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We have. There are just so many. I really do admire Creaky. Again, not one of those people necessarily phenomenally scientifically literate, but if he doesn't know something, he goes out and he researches it. And
I get quite a lot of messages from Creaky. Is this right?
Yeah.
He's got a very funny show.
Yeah, he
I
does.
enjoy it.
He does. It's he's just got a deeply engaging way of presenting it, right? You talk about Bill Nye having sort of charisma and communication skills. Crafty's just this cheerful, nice guy who gets on and explains great stuff. Mr. Sensible also put up a balloon that worked as well.
What's gone up?
I'm told. That's what the chat are telling me. yeah, and so there's a lot of good news. Okay.
So the contrast between the insulting ability of yourself, Tony, and Creaky is that there's not that you are completely explicit, and yet Creaky expects you to have actually a brain to be able to take in the insult.
Yes, that's true. I think that's actually MC. I'm not sure how much of MC Toon's stuff you've come across, Phil, but he's very much like that. He'll say absolutely scathing things to a flat earther, and the flat earther will just completely ignore it.
You probably think it's a compliment.
Yeah, and
Well, flat earther, that is.
Yeah, and the conversation proceeds. And I have to say, I ended up in a rather weird situation where I was explaining to Hip Hop Hippie. Hip Hop Hippie wanted videos of this experiment that proved Earth's rotation, and I've gone, you'd be shocked by how little researchers actually care about convincing people the Earth is round and rotating, because everybody knows it already, and they're not willing to dedicate even $150 to doing that. Because
it's like the stupid questions of like, why is there no webcam on the moon pointing at Earth? Well, have you an idea how much it costs to get something to the moon? So we're going to spend millions and millions and millions to go and put a webcam to look at on the moon, to look at the Earth, to show something that we already know to be true. No, exactly how it works.
Because a small minority of people don't believe it.
Yeah. I keep asking the question lately, like, so Elon Musk has got plans to have 1 million people on Mars by 2050. So just think like 300-400 years down the line. There's possibly going to be millions and millions of people living on Mars. That have, some have been there for generations. There's going to be a group of people that are like, there's no proof that we came from Earth. Mars is quite clearly flat. That's just all a lie. It's going to fucking happen because the stupidity is always there.
Yep. But of course on Mars it's a little bit easier to see the curve because it's a smaller planet, but
Well, no, but they're going to be like, well, we have to live in a pressurized container, so show me gas pressure without a container. They're going to be able to use that argument even more.
So I suppose on Mars we would be living in a pressurized container because it doesn't have an atmosphere.
Yeah, well, it does have an atmosphere, just very, very thin and not protective like Earth's atmosphere. Apparently, nuking Mars a whole bunch could create an atmosphere that could support us.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
I think Elon Musk just wants to nuke a planet for fun.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Apparently, there was a proposal in Soviet Russia to create a canal across Siberia using nuclear weapons.
Yeah, no, I did read about that. I mean, if you imagine aliens coming here and they're like looking at what's going on, why are these guys irradiating themselves? What's going on?
Because we can.
Yeah. What do you mean you discovered how to split the atom and you decided to nuke each other? What the fuck's wrong with you guys? All right. Galactic headquarters, can we just put a cordon around this Earth place? Just tell everyone not to bother. Yeah, cool, no worries.
I reckon that's already happened.
That's probably.
Aliens haven't landed on the White House lawn or whatever.
They have. They just turned up and went, no.
You travel around in a nuclear sub. That's like...
Yeah, I mean, but I didn't use it to try and explode myself. That was just an efficient way to power something underwater. You know? That's how nuclear power should be used, not to, drop massive bombs on people or... Like North Korea seems to think it's doing, testing bombs underneath mountains.
Yeah.
Man. Humans are stupid. You know what? I want to go to fucking Mars. Get me off this planet.
Perhaps you should start a line of videos. You might call them Stupid Humans or something like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I might do that.
That's a good idea, isn't it?
So it's I'm slightly taken aback that a panel of experienced counter flat earthers is suddenly astonished by how stupid and self-destructive humans can be. Have you guys not been paying attention, or what's going on?
Yeah. So Einstein once said there's two things that are infinite: the universe and human stupidity, and he wasn't sure about the universe.
Yeah.
We're not surprised. We're just amazed.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not surprised anymore. I think I've become desensitized to it. If someone says something stupid now, it's just like, this is normal. This is fine. This is what I live with. And I've ever since starting this, I've noticed so much more stupidity in the world. Maybe I've become like, I don't have as much tolerance for it, but like I just see so much stupidity in the world. I'm like, why is everyone fucking idiots?
Well, yeah, I'm going to sound arrogant, and that's probably because I am. But I regard something like 90% of voters are idiots.
As little as that.
It's
yeah,
weird.
I'd go 99, maybe.
It's weird to me that I wouldn't necessarily put myself in the top 1%, but but it's weird to me that because it seems like I can meet 10 people and 9 of them aren't idiots, but somehow when you turn them into voters, 90% of voters are definitely idiots. It's just astonishing.
I find that 9 out of 10 people aren't idiots until you start talking to them.
Okay, all right.
I find
That's
there's a contrast between the US and UK, where voting is voluntary, and here in Australia, I don't know about New Zealand, where it's compulsory. And I think, when it's compulsory voting, the idiots definitely vote.
Because they have to.
And because they have to. But I think where it's not compulsory, I think the majority of people who do vote are the idiots, because they're so invested in whatever it is that they want to vote for that, they've lost all reason.
There was a Nobel in economics awarded for this analysis, actually. If you make voting optional, then extremists, people who have extreme political views, value their vote much more highly than the average person.
Whereas with compulsory voting, someone who actually does make a good contribution to society has the same vote as a drugged out moron. There's going to be inequality no matter what, but I don't think there's a good system either way.
I think it's more fair to say that people are uninformed, not necessarily stupid, but people aren't very super informed on things like politics.
Well, I think politicians are responsible for that, for being
I don't think
so
politicians
terrible
are informed on politics.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible to be informed enough to make a decent vote. Put it that way. There's just so many things, and you've got to take them all into account. And different people are going to come to different conclusions. So voting is kind of a flawed process in that way. But
it's better than all the other systems we come up with.
Yeah, so I think that let's go back. Plato considered democracy to be a corrupt form of government because it relied on an educated, well-informed decision-making process, and the majority of people just aren't educated or well-informed or capable of making decisions in their long-term interest.
Well, I don't think anyone is really. When it comes to a nation level, so
Winston Churchill described democracy as the worst possible form of government, apart from all the other ones.
Yep.
It's
true.
In order to have an effective government, you need a population and a decision-making apparatus that are going to make their decisions on the facts as best they can be determined, and B, the best interests of the nation as a whole, not particular subsections of it. And I feel like in order for that to happen, you need journalists who actually hold politicians to account. I always feel frustrated when a journalist asks a politician a question and the politician just doesn't answer the question. They spout some spurious word salad, and I kind of think that after two of those, the journalist should re-ask the question, and if the politician refuses to answer a second time, you go, well, thank you for your time. You're obviously not here to provide us with any information, and we can continue without you. There's the door. Don't let it hit your bloated rump on the way out. And if you did that, if you stopped giving politicians a platform for spouting crap, perhaps we could get somewhere.
Sounds
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay. We don't have any Americans on the panel. That's a shame. Somebody in the stream is suggesting that 50% of American voters believe that the Earth is 6,000 years old. I would be astonished if that were in fact the case.
Don't think so.
Yeah, maybe 40%.
I'd be skeptical of those figures. Truth be told. But I mean, sorry, I was just watching Chernobyl, the television series, the HBO television series, and
not the original devastating accident in Russia.
Well, it was about the original devastating accident.
No, as long as you weren't watching that while you're cool. Just worried if you're watching that, you'd be in problem. I mean, you can time travel. I figured you'd do that.
But one of the interesting aspects of the story is the efforts by the people in charge of the plant to underplay how serious the incident was in the first 12 hours or so, and there was a physicist named Legasov who read a report about a fireman picking up a smooth curved black brick and burning his hand in the report. And he said, well, that is a fuel control rod that a fireman was picking up outside the reactor. And the only way it can be there is if the reactor is blown open, in which case there's a real problem here, and we need to be taken a lot more seriously.
Lots of radiation is going to be there.
Yeah, but apparently, the directors of the plant and the duty engineer who was in charge of the safety test were telling people that it was a hydrogen explosion, that it was but that the plant was intact, and you're just going, look, guys, there's reality, and reality can be very, very dangerous. When you mentioned earlier about in a couple of 100 years, I do admire your optimism. I really do, because we've got some real challenges between now and the end of the century, based on how we approach climate change and its impacts. And I think we need to have a really honest discussion about those impacts, because to me, they're terrifying. I don't know, the more you learn about them, the potential consequences of this really it cannot be overstated, or at least that's my take on it.
Well, in India, of course, the official view is that it's too late, and therefore money now is going towards adaptation rather than mitigation, if you like.
Yeah. But adaptation's very difficult, particularly for India. India is sort of in the front line for some of the more severe consequences of this.
totally agree with that. For instance, one of the big ones at the moment is the lack of ice on the Himalayas, which produces most of the groundwater.
Yep.
The deep leads, and that's they losing that, and if that's lost, then most of the water on the continent will be lost.
Yeah, and the water, the Chinese are building dams to redirect a lot of the Himalayan runoff.
So here we've got two nuclear-armed countries, and this could get to the point where it's so serious that people will fight over it. I mean, literally.
Yep. And that's where things can get really bad really quickly. I've had people in the chat say, we shouldn't be alarming school children. We shouldn't be, sure, it's a problem, but there are bigger problems. Even with COVID, climate change to me remains we really need to get a grip on that. Otherwise things could get pretty much unimaginably bad, unimaginably quickly. Once it really starts to bite, as Phil said, a large part of what we're facing at this point is unavoidable at this stage. But it could be a lot worse than we're currently projecting, because there are things called positive feedback mechanisms, like clathrate, the melting of clathrates, which are the solid methane deposits on the ocean floor, or the release of methane from thawing, permafrost, or that sort of thing. So there are a bunch of other feedback mechanisms that we're aware of, and there may exist some that we're just not aware of, because there's a lot we don't know. So it feels a lot like we're driving at full speed through a minefield. I keep on using that analog, but I really want people to take it seriously, because I anticipate that I will be dead before things get really, really bad. But I think that the people who aren't going to be dead by that stage should be given some sort of chance. Anyway, so having lifted the mood,
I'm sad now.
In my own inimitable way.
Well, it's your stream. You can do whatever you want.
That's true. It all gets back to the importance of dealing with reality as it is, and the magnitude of
have no clue how to do.
Yeah, and this is why I object to them, because the fundamental reality is that if you believe the Earth is flat, then you believe that there is a gigantic conspiracy out there trying to misinform everybody. And if you believe that, you can believe anything, right?
And they do.
Yeah.
5G, anti-vax,
Yeah. Literally any deranged, counter-scientific nonsense is open slather, which is why I really think which is why I am deeply offended by their existence. I try to be polite on initial, but it's hard. You guys, there is an economics term called deadweight social loss, right, which is applied to something that has no positive benefits whatsoever. And I kind of think, there's sort of oftentimes something can be bad for society in one way, but good for it in another way. So, there's a trade-off involved. But a deadweight social loss, not so much. Flat Earth is deadweight social loss. It is not beneficial in any way whatsoever. Or at least not to me, anyway.
Well, it does have one beneficial aspect of it. It's entertaining for people like us to make videos about.
Well,
I wouldn't be on YouTube if it wasn't for those idiots. There's so much stupidity.
Which brings up a question that I do have. So what was it that sort of motivated you to become? Oh, sorry, that's my alarm. I'm supposed to be awake.
Dream.
Yep, what was it that motivated you to start a channel? Like people like Hugh and I, we started our channels because there are people like you and Simon Dan and Mr. Sensible and Conspiracy Cats out there with really great channels, and we think, well, that looks fun, and I've got something to contribute, so I won't be as great as them, but I can at least make something. But what motivated you? You presumably had role models.
Yeah, I mean, I recently had the 7th surgery on my knee, and I was disabled and off of work and had a lot of time, and I came across the flat earth stuff on YouTube. I was like, what? No, don't be stupid. And then met a real flat earther in real life. Me and my son bumped into it, and I was like, no, this is just wrong. This can't happen. And I kept talking to my wife about it. I was saying, look at all these flat earthers, look at these idiots. And I was watching Conspiracy Cats and Red Rhetoric's debates. And my wife was like, look, Craig, I really don't care. Just start your own channel and stop talking to me about it. So I did.
Plus, you don't mind a bit of a fight, do you?
No. My mum said that arguing with people would never get me anywhere. Mum, you were wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently, we've been joined by Team. Is that right?
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Fucking allergies are miserable right now for me. I cannot breathe out of my nose. I haven't been able to do that for about 4 days now. So
yeah, I mean, aliens do have issues adapting to humans' atmosphere. I understand.
Yes, please forgive me if I'm sniffling through the thing. I just realized I stayed up all night getting my script written, my intro script written for my debate tonight, and at like 10 o'clock this morning, my cat jumps on top of my computer, hits reset on my computer. And then when it all comes back up, that's not a problem. Notepad auto saves.
All right. Okay.
Google saves your windows when you close them. But for whatever reason, all right. And I noticed this earlier. I should have done something about it, but I didn't expect my cat to fuck my life like this. But I noticed that it was in an incognito window. So I didn't know how it got like that, but it was just in an incognito. All my research windows were incognito, right? So when I rebooted my computer and I opened up all of my immediately closed tabs, every last one of them opened up except my research tabs. Every one of them except like my pointless ones. They opened up.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like someone's in a hornet's nest somewhere. Yep, there we go.
You know the excuse, dogs eating my homework and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, it is actually a thing, where you've spent hours doing stuff and then something happens and you go bang, it's all gone.
Yeah, my science teacher in high school got into his car, put his honours thesis on the top of the car while he got in, and then drove off with it on the top. My brother had his entire homework book eaten by our goat. Why we had a pet goat?
Legitimate excuse, yeah.
That is a legitimate excuse.
My goat ate my homework. Yeah, whatever. No, I'm serious.
And I will say, for anybody considering getting a goat, our goat was one of the most phenomenally intelligent animals I have ever met. And I think quite highly of the intelligence of many animals, flat earthers aside, of course. I've met some I've come across some very intelligent cats, but the goat's problem-solving abilities were really astonishing. But utterly malicious and devoid of any empathy whatsoever. It was just a bully the entire time. There is one story I regard as illustrative of pretty much every goat story, which was that the goat liked to eat wooden clothes pegs, and so when my mum was hanging out laundry on the line, the goat would stand nearby and want to be fed wooden clothes pegs, and there'd be enough that were sort of old and rotten that she'd give them to him. And she was a bit slow, and so the goat just gave her a bit of a headbutt on the point of the knee, and she let out a cry of pain. And our dog, we had a sort of a miniature collie, nipped the goat on the ear, and the goat bleated and ran off underneath the house. Our house was on the side of a hill, and that was the goat's domain. The goat went off, and we didn't see him. This happened apparently at 11 o'clock in the morning, and the goat just was not there for the rest of the day. Didn't come out when the kids came home, and so eventually my dad got home, and the goat was Dad's. Basically, Dad and the goat had this really good relationship, and so the Dad went down with a Weet-Bix, which is a sort of a brick, with the goat's favorite food, and he whistled for the goat, and the goat came out, took the Weet-Bix off my dad, dropped it on the ground, and stamped it into little pieces, and then went back underneath the house. Like, I have been injured, and this is not going to fucking solve the problem, so piss off. So anyway, sorry, lengthy story, but
No, it's a good story.
Yeah, awesome.
Alpaca goat.
So team couldn't work out which color to be.
So what color to be? What color am I?
No, it's got picked them all.
Oh yeah, I got you. I see.
They can't see that on the stream. Yeah. Speaking of what's on the stream, I've noticed in the picture you've got up for the stream, Tony, that we've half buried Professor Phil into the ground. What is that? What's he done?
No, Phil doesn't have any eggs.
I think I am reminded some Native American cultures did bury toddlers up to their waist in the ground while they went off to do work, to stop the toddlers from wandering off.
Are you calling a toddler?
I think that's because that particular photograph of Phil is only from sort of the lower chest upwards, and so,
I'm not even in the picture.
No. We. I was told that we did have a picture for you, but sadly, it didn't happen. Jessica G has returned from her visit to Roxy Lowry's, and she has a comment about Team Skeptic.
What a surprise.
I bet it's going to be a really nice, non-insulting comment that doesn't mention him being an alien or anything like that.
Yes, that he is he's a weird alien. Yeah, I think that was pretty much what it is. I'm not sure if you've seen Jess's video she put out recently, team, but you should definitely go check it out. Watch it all the way to the end because it's got a little Easter egg in there just for you.
Sorry. You start talking about Jessica G, I start yawning and shit.
Burn.
Did I say that out loud? I was thinking that. That's what. Sorry, I have a slight disconnect between my head and my mouth. The filter doesn't turn on for at least 20 minutes. I got to warm it up. So I'll get my filter on before I go to my debate tonight. But
please don't have your filter on, team. I want you there with no filter, please. I'm going to be live commentating this on your channel, and I want it to be a dumpster fire.
Yeah, what's the point?
This is a direct order from your senior partner. All right.
What's the point of a debate if you're going to have a filter on?
Well, let me read y'all my intro. It's really simple. It says, "Hello everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Team Skeptic. I do mostly with science-denying flat Earth idiots, but recently I've turned my attention to science-denying anti-maskers and COVID deniers. I'm not sure what side of retardation my opponent stands on, but if you're an anti-masker or a COVID denier, then you might as well be a fucking flat Earth idiot. But tonight, we set aside discussions about the shape of the Earth to discuss something almost as ridiculous, and that's whether COVID-19 is a hoax or not. Obviously, COVID-19 is real and is not a hoax, and is supported by the fact that over 210,000 American lives and 1 million lives worldwide have died from this unfortunate disease. The genetic sequencing of the virus is known and available to the public. Individual countries around the world are independently reporting similar death or mortality rates, and is supported by not just the CDC and the WHO, but also by both sides of the political landscape.
Excellent. You know who's really going to enjoy that intro? Is the inimitable Johnny O, who has joined us. I understand.
Nice.
What's up, everybody?
Hi, Johnny.
Mr. Hall.
We're very well.
Hey, Tony, I am going to have to drop out now.
Yep.
I need to get some stuff
So
sorted here.
I just want to quickly say we're going to be wrapping up here in about 20 minutes or so, because I understand people have stuff to do. Phil has a tutorial that he's got to give at 9:00, and so I don't want to go on too long. But thank you very much, Craig, for turning up. I really do appreciate
Always.
it.
Congrats on your 1,000, and team. I will speak to you in a couple of hours.
Yeah, hey,
Okay.
hold on 1 second. Let me see something, because my debate is scheduled for tonight, but I thought it was scheduled for Central. Yeah, it's 8 Central. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot later than I thought.
That's
Okay,
right.
that's
I've had a nap. It's a late one for me, but I've had a nap, so I'm good.
it works
Okay.
for me because I deleted all my citations.
Research.
I need to go grab them out.
All right, I will speak to you guys
All right.
later.
See you,
Talk to you later,
Craig.
Craig.
Bye.
Cheers, bye.
See you later.
Okay. Okay. Well, now that we've got rid of that loose, we can.
Yeah, no shit.
Yes.
It's
Thank God that guy's gone. Yeah.
yeah. It's actually one of the things that I really love about the community is that in general terms, everybody's pretty easygoing and easy to get along with. There have been a couple of eruptions recently that I'm a bit unhappy about, but in general, everybody's fairly easy to get along with, and I really do like that about this community.
Well, I'll tell you the weird thing about Fight, right? Whenever he's around, I can't make male boob jokes. You know, like he gets super offended every time I'm like, nice tits, Fight. He's like, oh, stop talking about my boobs.
Well, you're just attracted to him. That's the problem. That's why you're obsessed with him.
Hey, that's not my fault, is it? I can't choose who's
genetics,
I
yeah.
like.
Have you been practicing how to whistle, team?
No, actually, I'm working on building self-confidence, not destroying it, Mr. Professor Philbell.
Well, team, you got a good rap before when you while you were away, because I have to tell you now that I'm actually talking to you, I'm really impressed with your ability to communicate stuff in science. I think maybe missed your calling if you're not a science teacher.
I wish, Phil. I wish.
Shit, no. Dude, no, team, no. You can't be a teacher. I veto that.
It's always been a hobby of mine to look further into what somebody tells me, whether it was electronics and saying, oh, I understand, these concepts. Let me go open up a TV and find it inside. It's always been something that I learned about science. And when science is just like, it's like porn to people, like I understand how people like to devote a lot of time to looking at porn. I devote that same amount of time to looking into understanding science. I don't have a problem watching Sean Carroll. I don't have a problem watching hours and hours and hours of Stanford lectures of Leonard Susskind. It doesn't bother me to watch it and then say, let me go back and watch that again and then a fourth time to make sure I understand everything that this genius is trying to teach teach, everything this genius is trying to pass on to people who are willing to listen and learn. That's just been a personal hobby of mine. Like I don't understand this obsession with wanting to do something that's like sounds socially fun, but is detrimental to the health, detrimental to the mind, detrimental to so many other things, you know, where you could be spending that time learning. You know, I just don't get it. There's a mental disconnect between myself and normal people who give up on education after they've turned 19. You know, I just don't understand that concept.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn. There's so much stuff we don't know, and so much to learn.
Well, yeah. In my case, you know, I did physics to second year in uni, and I had a particularly nasty physics teacher at school, and so it's sort of, you know, that's as far as I wanted to go then. But since I've been doing this, I've been so fascinated by all the things I'm learning. You know, it's stuff I'm relearning. Of course, I've known a lot about it anyway, but just getting into life and being sort of distracted by life, marriage, children, all that sort of thing. You just sort of don't focus on that. But now I'm sort of past that. It's fascinating to learn what is out there in the world and what there is to know. It's just like you, team. I'm just bewildered that people don't want to go and do it.
Well, let me add to that a little bit. Like when I first started this, right, a lot of these physics concepts were, you know, pretty basic to me. F equals ma is a rather basic concept in physics. You know, like it's almost the basis of what our classical physics are. So that part was nothing to me. I used to think everybody knew that. Everybody did. I did. You know, so everybody must know that. You know, everybody must be able to, you know, to derive the acceleration, you know, the gravitational acceleration from Newton's formula for gravitational law, you know, the Newton's law of gravitation. So I used to think everybody knew that. So when I would talk about these concepts, I was just like, I took it as like that everybody watching it is completely will get bored of what I say, basically, right? Turns out a lot of people out there haven't had to deal with these concepts in 20 years, 30 years. You know, a lot of people they don't deal with classical physics in their day job. You know, it's like just even average everyday life. They just don't deal with it. There's no need for it. So to them, it's a refresher. To them, it's something new, but it's not new. They know that it's right, but they're learning it. They're being refreshed about the information. And it can be, you know, mentally stimulating to watch a flat earth debunking channel.
Yeah.
Spot on.
A while ago, I used an equation from one of Tony's videos to calculate the distance between Stockholm and Copenhagen, and like I had to refresh a bit of my knowledge of trigonometry. So I had some basic trigonometry, and to discover that again and to remember these rules and to what that was about.
It's one of the things, like a lot of people don't use calculus every day, and a lot of people don't use trigonometry every day, and it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird to remember that that doesn't happen for some people, because I kind of think, well, okay, I guess for them calculus doesn't exist. It's just weird for me because it's deeply entrenched in the stuff that I do, and it's a skill that I've had to. These are skills that I've had to use over and over again, so they're well entrenched. But there is a lot of we've reached the point where no single human being, and we reached the point actually a long time ago, where no single human being knows everything about everything. No human being knows everything about science, right? It's just not possible anymore.
Yeah. This is why we have science.
Yeah.
and proper method to verify the facts that science gives us, because that's because we can't know it. We've got the people who are smart and actually go about the scientific method and show that certain things are reality. We can take their word for it.
Yeah. I really think that, kind of, to some extent, it's sad that flat earthers end up so disconnected from reality, right? I mean, it's there is a sense in which it's pathetic, right?
That's one word for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just feel so sorry. Have you seen Lindsay from New Zealand? The guy.
Oh, that's very funny.
The guy with the boobs.
Yeah.
On the whiteboard.
That guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I've never heard of this guy, but I so want to now.
Well, Sasik did a video on him.
Did a couple actually.
Yeah, did a couple where Terry Davies. Terry Davies has been working through his. Terry Davies is convinced, however, that's a butt crack, not boobs.
Well, could be. But he's pretty much said that flat Earth is wrong now, hasn't he? He wasn't very convincing, but yeah. Yeah,
I don't know, but what struck me listening to him, and I did listen to him, like I just I decided that while I was paying attention to something else, and I was just listening to him in the background. And I've gone, if you take away the hand gestures, this is just incoherent babble. Like it literally meaningless gibberish. This is a grown man gibbering at a whiteboard and waving his hands around. And then when I went back, I gone, I just ruined this for myself because now he's not so funny. He kind of is funny, but really, he needs some help. Perhaps some medication. I don't know, but he definitely needs some help.
So, Tony, you're the man of the hour. I want you to answer this question last, and I'm going to ask the whole panel this: who, to you guys, we know that flat Earth is wrong, right? Mm-hmm. But who is the most influential flat earther? Let's say to a new person coming in, they're just watching flat Earth videos. Who draws your attention the most? Who gets you just by their oration skills and not their the information presented?
Oh,
I would have to say Dubé, just simply the way that he presents his information. He's very confident in his delivery.
Yeah, I think that his smug monologueness is to an ignorant person. It does help.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me changing the topic a little bit, I wanted to ask all of you guys, and also the people in the chat. Blue Origin at the moment is on the verge of having people space tourism. This is where you take a trip up. It's about 11 minutes or 12 minutes that you're in space and then back down again. And I'm just wondering, I think the tickets are going to be around 150,000, and I'm just wondering if you had the money, would you do it?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, without question, yes.
If I had like $100 million in the bank, I'd spend 150,000 on a trip like that. But I think otherwise, it's not worth it.
Well, if I only had $150,000, I think but if I had it, I'd be spending it on something else. But if I had $150,000, that was spare, I'd be doing it.
So this might sound a bit harsh, but I have a reason to feel like this, and that is if you had a chance to say, look, this is the this is the only chance you'll ever get to see something like that, would you take it?
Yeah.
Yes, I would, but again, it would be there would be caveats on it in the sense that it would be quite nice to see that, but I'm not going to pauper myself after in order to achieve it. I am quite comfortable with the shape of the Earth. I remember the first time I saw footage from the Gemini 5 mission, and it took my breath away. And
I just recently saw the original video for the first Saturn V we sent up. I believe it was Saturn V that we sent up. That was it was after von Braun had come here. The actual, I believe it was the Nazis actually crossed the 50-mile mark first, I believe. And they have video of the shape of the Earth in black and white with a camera, no wide angle lens, no Photoshop, curvatures right there. There's no point even arguing it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, 1942 or something that was on a V2.
V2, yeah. I'm sorry, you're right. It was a V2 rocket, not a Saturn V.
But yeah, it's a. It's really, really, it's an interesting question. Jessica G says that she thinks the most influential flat earther is somebody called Dearth, who I've never heard of.
Yeah, he can't even spell his own name.
Weiss. Yeah, it's
David Weiss.
The drunk. I met him in person. The dude's a fucking alcoholic.
All right. Okay.
He was slobbering on himself.
All right.
I've actually got a question for the panel.
Yeah.
Well, not so much a panel. Maybe for you, Tony. What do you think is your 1,000 subscribers? You've been going since earlier this year. What's your number one moment that you've had so far? Do you think? What's the one that sticks in your mind? Yeah.
This moment.
I am very flattered and humbled to have reached 1,000 subs. The moment that sticks out to me was actually the first time I was allowed on Craig's channel, I think, to talk with Mind of God, because I felt like I just ripped that apart. Like, he had all of these stories about seismic models and not including the curvature of the Earth, and gravity isn't real and that sort of thing. And it just and eventually it was like and eventually, like, he claimed to have worked on seismic models, and then he just had no idea what he was talking about. And it just turned out we finally got to the bottom where, okay, you just don't know anything. All right. You literally, you've come onto this stream, you've opined with some authority, and now that we're here, you just do not know what the hell you're talking about in any sense. And it was, to me, it was just a complete destruction of a liar. I thought.
What do you think his deal actually was? Was he someone he obviously wasn't? He claimed to be someone like you, doing what you do, but obviously he didn't know anything compared to what you know. Was he like someone who might have been a tech helping out such a person at some point?
Yeah, I think the information, what people have suggested is that his father or his uncle runs a company, and he was employed by that company and did and assisted in writing code or executing code or doing something. I can't imagine actually that he does write code, but he might have been executing code. He might have, which can be quite complicated for those seismic packages.
So he's basically an Anthony Riley in this field. He's claiming he's got qualifications and claiming that he knows about these things, but he really doesn't.
Well, I would classify him as not an intellectual, not a pseudo-intellectual, but a pseudo intellectual. Like
Yes.
he acts like he knows things when he really doesn't know anything about anything. My man, Mind of God, told me this, guys, and this is no lie. Like I had the hardest time understanding him explain this because it's just so counterintuitive. You have the Earth, and you have, let's say, a steel ball that's being pulled by gravity down to the Earth, right? And if you put a lead ball above it, that the gravitational acceleration towards the Earth should increase, not decrease, because the gravity from the lead ball above it would have to go through the gravity of the steel, or would have to go through the steel ball, therefore increasing the amount of gravitational strength going through the steel ball and increasing the acceleration to the Earth. And I was like, that's not how that works. He's like, they don't go into superposition. And I'm like, wow, you love throwing these words out that you just have no clue what mean.
Like orthogonal, yeah.
Yeah, orthogonal was another one of his favorites, and he just and I tried to confront him on that because and he's gone, no, I mean orthogonal in the sense of a vector space. Yes, mate, I know what orthogonal means. And you're wrong even there. But anyway, we've hit the 1.5 hour mark, and people do have things to do. In particular, Phil's got his lecture coming up, we might start wrapping up. And I want to give everybody who's here an opportunity to talk about stuff that's coming up that they're doing, and shell themselves out a bit. So we'll start with Microraptor. How are you doing, young lady?
I'm doing well. I don't really have anything to show. I'm not really a content creator, so I don't have anything to show. But
are you thinking of doing any more debates in the near future?
What kind of fun to do that one? So maybe.
All right. I'll keep an eye out in case that occurs. Hugh.
Yeah, I'm working on a video for Rachie 50. You remember her?
Yes, I remember her.
I asked her, what's your best 5 questions you have about the flat Earth? And she actually gave me 6. And they're all pretty easy to answer, except for one, which I'm not quite sure how to explain it. And I'm seeking advice from intelligent people to get a better way to explain that. And once I finish that, I'll put it all together and publish that one. But she's a classic example of the sort of people we want to reach. We want to be able to. They've got all these things. Can you hear the corgis in the background?
I can hear the corgis in the background.
They want to be fed. She's a classic person that we want to reach. They've got these questions, and they've had their minds polluted by people like Bob and that sort of thing. And so they've got a whole lot of things buzzing around their heads, and they're not quite sure what reality is. And so we need to explain clearly what reality actually is. And I figure if you can answer someone's best 5 questions, then whatever other questions they have don't really matter if those are the best ones. So, I'll be doing that. I need someone who knows something about space-time to talk to me, but once I've got that done, I'll finish it, and I'll get in trouble if I don't shill out the NASA Black Site Area 69 live stream, one that's going on. The American one's on in a few hours, and I think 4 hours from now or so. Right. And the Australian and European one happening tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Australian Daylight Saving Time, 7 p.m. normal time. And I'm on that with a whole bunch of other people, and they're always great fun. So come and listen to us on that.
Excellent. Yes, Phil points out that my debate against Mind of God was directly after his debate with Mind of God, where he was significantly more cheerful and warrant.
Well, he's just a nice guy. Yeah.
So Phil, how are you doing?
Very well, thanks. Thank you for having me on the show, and congratulations again for having for your 1,000 plus now subscribers. And Hugh, if you want to talk about sometime about space time, I like trying to explain how that works, and because every time I do, I think I get a little bit better at it. And so I'm more than happy to have that chat with you if you like.
No worries. I'll send a Discord message.
Yeah, please do. So so everybody, I'm just about getting ready. I've got 26 minutes now before I have to actually get serious. So
Can I just
very much again?
Can I just quickly ask you, Phil, why are you doing a tutorial on a Sunday morning?
Students not, because this COVID thing, people are behind and not.
It's online, is it?
Yeah, so we've got exams coming up and stuff like that. So.
Uh-huh.
Well, Phil, it's always a pleasure hanging out with you, man.
It
I love,
definitely
we don't have
is.
very many interactions, so let me tell you, it's an honor to get to sit on a panel with you.
Johnny O, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm actually looking forward to tomorrow's Beardsman, which you can catch PhD Tony, myself, Irish Demon, and JL Warren on. I've got a couple of videos coming out, some COVID Karens and some, just unpopular opinions, all that fun stuff.
Okay. You're aware that Irish won't be there this week.
Right. So it was supposed to be on Demon's channel. I think we're going to switch it to my channel this week, and then we'll pick it back up next week.
Some slack-ass story about about Mrs. Demon's birthday or something like that.
I heard he was going out with his girlfriend.
Okay. Well, then we shouldn't tell Mrs. Demon about that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another one of those guys who have weird sexually attractive boobs.
No, he isn't. That is factually incorrect. In almost every sense. I do not. Literally nothing about what you just said is in any way accurate. I do not find guys' boobs in any way appealing. So the existence, your presupposed existence of attractive male boobs is wrong, and the suggestion that Irish has them is also wrong. Or indeed that Irish is attractive. I guess some people might,
well, Mrs. Demon thinks he is.
No, I think Mrs. Demon is just
Community service.
a very astonishingly sympathetic individual. Okay. What have you got coming up, team?
I have, of course, the debate tonight. I'm pretty well prepared for it. I mean, it's COVID. Whether COVID's a hoax or not, it's a pretty dumb thing to debate, in my opinion. But at the same time, I'd rather be talking about this than flat Earth, right? I'll be honest with you. I have a video I'm pushing off until Monday. It's called Karen on Steroids, and it's going to be covering 3 very vigilant Karens that need to be just pointed out and laughed at. So that's what I'm going to do.
You made a new word there.
It's almost a tautology, though, isn't it? Vitriolous
what did I make
Karen.
Karen?
So vitriolic or virulent.
What did I say?
You said vitriolent.
Yeah.
Vitriolent. I meant vitriolic. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But I've been doing a lot of virus studies, so virulent, vitriolent, vitriolic. You guys know it. These damn Karens are an annoying virus to society, so they're vitriolent.
You're going to run with that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm also starting a new website called Twitcher.
Okay. Cheese Mondo, I do want to say thank you very much for your work here. You've been extremely helpful, but also very quiet.
You're very, very welcome. I just want to say a big congratulations on 1,000 subs. And if everyone in the side chat could put a big thumbs up for Tony, that would be absolutely superb. In terms of what I've got going on, I've got the Shills After Show on my channel in a few hours. And I'm hoping to put out a video about Stephen Pennington later on this week, because quite frankly, he's gone off the rails.
Okay. I shall sum up very quickly. I'm appearing on The Beardsman with Johnny O and JL Sunday morning for you American types. And I'm doing a video on, I'm preparing a video on entropy, the second law of thermodynamics, and why the atmosphere does not need a container. I do want to give a huge shout out to, I do actually want to reference something. Demon has been the subject of unsubstantiated allegations from one Monsieur Daniel Pratt and threats of physical violence. This is unacceptable, and I'd just urge everybody to solidarity in letting YouTube and Daniel Pratt know that there's no place for that sort of stuff. I'd also like to thank Jessica G for challenging Daniel Pratt to a fight in her local gym. Daniel Pratt responded by blocking her because he presumably didn't want a public record of his ass being kicked by a young lady.
Because Daniel Pratt's a little bitch.
He is. Yes, that's a more succinct way of expressing the same sentiment. And Jessica G reminds me that the most outstanding point of my YouTube career so far was meeting her. Well, that was certainly memorable, Jessica G. I'm never likely to forget it. I do want to thank everybody in the chat and all of my subscribers. You guys are what make this worthwhile. I do apologize for not inviting Clive Wells onto the stream now. I did think that there were going to be a lot more people here, and so I was sort of rushed for space. But it turns out we would have been able to have him on. But such is life. Next time, Clive. So anyway, I guess that's about it. Thank you all, and I'll look forward to seeing you anon in various chats and on various debates.
Yeah, it has been fun.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to click end stream, and you guys are going to have to amuse yourselves. So take care, everyone. Goodbye. Bye.
Bye. Congratulations, Tony.
Congratulations.